It's the first week of July, and as he does to start every month, San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria is joining us on CBS 8 News Live at 6.
You, our viewers, have a lot of questions for the mayor. We're working for you to get some answers. Thank you, Mayor Gloria, for taking some time out of your busy schedule to join us this evening, as always.
Thank you for having me.
Mayor, the city sent out letters of termination to dozens of city employees, including police officers, for refusing to take COVID tests, part of an agreement that allowed for religious exemptions for taking the COVID vaccine. The first thing I just wanted to ask is, does the city intend on following through? Will they be firing employees if they refuse to take those COVID tests?
If we must, but we don't have to get to that point. These employees can do what the vast majority, over 90% of San Diego City employees have done, which is either get vaccinated or request and be granted a religious exemption and receive weekly testing. I don't think that's too much to ask of our public servants, and we ask and hope that everyone will come into compliance, but we will follow all applicable laws, including our civil service codes, to make sure that due process is given. But at a certain point in time, all of those avenues may be exhausted and we may have to separate with people. That is not our intent. And I hope that folks will come into compliance.
I just wanted to just quick follow up on that. Is this frustrating for you? You worked out an agreement. It seemed like things were moving forward. And for people to not comply with this agreement, this compromise, that has to be difficult as somebody who's trying to manage a city.
Well, it is for myself, but it's for every San Diegan who's tired of having to stay at home and not go to work or not send our kids to school. We don't want to get back to that point. Vaccines have allowed us to reopen our economy, get our kids back in the classroom. And the failure to get vaccinated or the potential of spreading this virus to others is how we will go back to those dark days. And none of us want to do that. This isn't just for city employees. I would encourage every San Diegan, get vaccinated, get boosted, and let's put this pandemic behind us. So yes, it is frustrating, but I think it's frustrating for all San Diegans. And that's why I continue to encourage people to get vaccinated.
Mayor, let's move on. July is Pride Month here in San Diego, June for most of the nation, but we get to continue the party. With Roe overturned, however, a lot of people are concerned the Supreme Court is going to go after gay rights next, as you are proudly our city's first openly gay mayor. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I share those concerns. I mean, they're written plainly in Justice Clarence Thomas's support for the repealing of Roe v. Wade, that this should be next on the chopping block. And so we have to be vigilant and defend these rights as we do the work to try and restore abortion rights and reproductive justice in the United States. I want to assure San Diegans that abortion will continue to be safe and legal here in the city, and we'll do all that we can to help with that. And as we enter into our Pride celebrations next week, we'll continue to be a community that is fully embracing and welcoming of the rich diversity that makes our city so great. And that may include the continued fight for marriage equality, which is ridiculous that we still have to talk about this in 2022. But if it's a fight that they want to bring to us, we'll take it on.
Pride's a big celebration in San Diego. We also have Comic-Con coming up this month. Big events, big public gatherings. With the tragic recent events this weekend and other mass shootings around the country, we're going to be talking to security officials a little later in our newscast. But I wanted to ask you, what's your message to people who are worried about their safety gathering at Pride, gathering at Comic-Con, other events in San Diego?
I want to reassure San Diegans that their safety is always the city's top priority. And our San Diego Police Department is working with local, state, and federal law enforcement to make sure that all of these festivities, including our Pride Parade as well as Comic-Con, will be safe for all those who want to go to them. I want to let folks know you will see significant police presence at all of these events. What you won't see is a lot of behind-the-scenes efforts, whether it's plainclothes officers that are at some of these events to the intelligence gathering that we do, all of it with the purpose of making sure that we keep these events safe. We recognize that in these uncertain times, in this time where seemingly so much gun violence across our country, that we have to engage the public. And so I appreciate you doing the service for your viewers to give them access to those professionals. And what I would simply say is to encourage folks to, if they see something, say something. And I would encourage them to check out our city's Office of Emergency Services website, where they can, members of the public can actually send information that they have to us to make sure that we have every bit of resources that we can have to make sure that people can enjoy these events safely and securely.
Mayor, you join us every month to answer our viewers' questions, and we thank you for that. I think time and time again, one of the primary concerns is homelessness. And we were out at the San Diego County Fair in our Working for You pop-up newsroom, and we handed out these forms to people to write, what are the concerns in your neighborhood? And Deborah Durham, she says, the homelessness problem is just out of control. The mayor is spending money on bike lanes in areas that are not wanted. You know, why the focus on the bike lanes and not the homelessness issues, and what new ideas do you have to help these neighborhoods clean up the homeless problem?
Well, I'm not going to take the bait that Deborah's laying out there on bike lanes versus homelessness. We can do multiple things at once. And the fact of the matter is most of that money for bike lanes can't be used on homelessness. But let's set that aside. Homelessness is the #1 concern in the city, and we're acting accordingly. The city budget that just went into effect last Friday has a record amount of funding associated with it to expand street outreach, to increase our shelter capacity, and to grow the amount of affordable housing we have in our community. Marcella, we're expected to add about 450 additional shelter beds in our city before the calendar year is out. Every bed is an opportunity to get people off the streets for good. You see us working with additional encampment cleanups and efforts in our communities to make sure our streets are safe, not just for the unsheltered individuals, but for all of us that go around our communities. So the city is ramping up our efforts. We're leaning on state officials to pass behavioral health reform to make sure that we can get some of the sickest and most vulnerable off our streets and into care. And we're continuing to be competitive for state and federal dollars to make sure we grow our capacity in outreach, in shelters, and in housing. At the end of the day, this is the top priority. This is the biggest issue, and the city is doing its part. We're relying upon our other local governments, our state and federal partners to do their part. I think if all those things can happen, we will make a sizable reduction in the amount of homelessness in our community over the next number of months.
It's an encouraging plan because people don't want to see a homelessness problem in their neighborhood, but they also want help for the people who are homeless so they can be productive members of our society. So we will be following your plan, Mayor.
We'll be providing more help than we ever have, and I encourage our unsheltered folks to avail themselves of these services. We are taking every excuse there is away. You have a pet, you want privacy, you want to bring your partner to the shelter. All of those things are possible with the changes and initiatives that we're advancing at the city.
Happy San Diego Pride Month. Mayor Todd, Gloria, thank you as always for joining us. We'll talk to you again next month.
Thank you both.
Thanks, Mayor.